Hi, welcome to Race Walk 101. This is Coach Carmen. I've been race walking since 1986 and coaching walkers like you for over 20 years. So whether you want to do this for fun, fitness, or high-level competition, we're going to go over all the basics that you need to do it right. So let's start with the rules. Race walking is a little different than other forms of walking that you might be familiar with. There are two rules. You need to land with a straight leg and you need to avoid losing contact with the ground. So you'll find judges in the competition. They'll show you this paddle if you land with the bent knee, and they're going to show you this paddle if you're losing contact. Efficient walking is a pushing motion, not a pulling motion. So what I see in walkers who have spent a lot of time striding, power walking, fitness walking, anything with a bent knee motion, they tend to reach in front and pull themselves forward. What I'd like to teach you today is to plant your foot directly under your hip and then drive everything behind you. There's two very important reasons for this. The first is that every time your foot lands in front of you, you're momentarily stopping your forward momentum. If you're a competitive walker, that's kind of a big deal because you want to be fast and efficient. If you're doing this for fitness and for health, you might take into consideration that every time you do this, you're jarring something up and down your spine. So two good reasons. We're going to plant that foot directly under our hip. Now this involves maybe some new muscle memory. So guess what? We're off to do a drill. Okay, I call this first drill the standing hip drop. And it's going to teach you to sit onto your hip each time you take a stride. And hopefully your foot's landing right underneath you. We're going to do it in front of a mirror because mirrors provide instant feedback. It's going to help you correct and maybe learn that muscle memory quicker. So you can do this inside your house if you have a full-length mirror, or you can just find something outside like I did. It's a big window with some reflection. So I'm going to turn around and I'm going to stand with my feet hip-width apart, and I'm going to sit on one hip and then sit on the other hip. Just shift back and forth, and I want to see my quadricep tighten, the knees straighten each time. So when I do this, I'm feeling my hip engage each time. My butt muscle, that's what's going to power you forward. And I'm landing with my weight back on my heels. So if you're doing this correctly, your toes might actually come up off the ground, but never your heels. If your heels are coming up, that means you're not sitting back on your heels. We want to be weighted on the back. Since we're landing heel toe, we're going to heel toe roll through. So if you have a little bit of lateral motion, don't worry about that yet. We'll take that away later. But I just want you to think about feeling that landing hip and then the other hip. If you need to put your hands on your waist to feel it, that's okay too. So when you get the hang of this, it starts feeling like it's working, you can take baby steps. And I mean baby steps, real tiny steps towards yourself. And again, you want to be landing on your heel, lifting your toe slightly, but mostly landing on the heel, learning to drop with the hip. And then back it up, and then do it again. Again, the mirror, the reflective part, is going to give you that instant feedback to see if you're doing it correctly. Okay, so race walking requires a good balance of strength and flexibility. So this is why I love this exercise. It's called the seated foot flex. And you're going to start by sitting up against a wall. You're going to scoot your hips as far back as you can, arch your low back, squeeze your shoulder blades, and then simply draw your toes back towards you. You'll see your quads are going to engage concentrically, which is the way they contract in race walking. You're also concentrically contracting those shin muscles. At the same time, you're stretching your hamstrings and your calves and maybe the backs of your knees. It's very important though when you do this one that you're sitting up tall. If you start to slouch, start to slump, you're going to think you're doing it right, but you're not actually getting the stretch. So arch that low back, squeeze the shoulder blades, draw those toes back to you. You're not lifting this way, but you're just flexing them. You want to hold for 1 minute to 3 minutes. If this is hard, you can do this on your back. You simply roll over and flip up your feet on the wall. In this position, leave your hips away from the wall because your hamstrings are going to be too tight. The point on this one is to simply start at whatever starting point you're at. And again, you're going to have your feet hip width apart, toes facing forward. Squeeze your quadriceps. You want those knees to be straight. If they're not straight, you're going to need to scoot away from the wall a little bit. If you find this is easy, you can scoot in closer, but you want to make sure that your hips are touching the floor. So if your hamstrings are tight and you're getting all the way up, but your hips are up here, again, you want to scoot away from the wall. And in this position, it's really easy to see your feet. So check that they're facing forward, not splaying out, or not rolling in or out on that transverse plane. So you want to hold this for, again, 1 minute to 3 minutes. When you do this, don't turn your palms down because that rolls your shoulders forward, but let's practice rolling our shoulders open by having palms up, or you can have your arms up here. Okay, this is the hip drop drill. We've just finished doing a static exercise that teaches our muscles to engage and to stretch, but now we're going to teach them how to work and play together. I really like this hip drop drill because it uses the muscles that we use in the same way that we use them in race walking. So you're going to find a set of stairs and you want to put your left foot on the edge of the step with your right foot hanging off. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to draw that right foot up. We're flexing it. You should draw it up high enough to where this quad stays tight, and your supporting leg is also going to stay straight. Now we're going to just lift the hip as high as you can and as low as you can. We're getting some range of motion in our hip. Go high and low, high and low. We're going to do about 10 to 20 of these. So you should feel that hip go high and low. One of the mistakes that people make when they first try this one is they bend the supporting leg, the knee of the supporting leg. So we don't want to do that. Keep them both straight. The other thing I see is this foot starts to go limp after a while. So keep that straight up, lift high and low. And don't forget to do the other side. So we'll come around. Right foot is on the edge of the step. Left toe is high, both knees are squeezed. We're just using that hip now to move up and down. And one important thing to watch out for when you do this is if you have one hip that's working better than the other, you might want to do the tighter hip again. So let's say my first hip was tighter. I'm going to come back and I'm going to repeat that one because you want your hips to be even in their strength and flexibility. Okay, we're on to part 2, arms. And while the judges aren't going to be critiquing your arm form, I am. Because I know that how your arms move are directly going to affect how your legs move. So we're back in front of the mirror to go through all those parts. Okay, you want to stand again with your feet hip width apart. We're going to bend our elbows and start swinging our arms. You want to look in the mirror and see if your shoulders are relaxed and your head is up. We're going to drive our elbows back hard and relax forward. Hard back, but relax forward. You never want to spend energy driving your hands up high because then you're tipping your shoulders back and we're going backwards. We want to go forward. So you want to drive back hard, relax forward. Hands should be relaxed. Thumbs up, never knuckles up. So roll them out. You should swing through at the waistband. Notice how my hips are rotating. That's a good thing. If you're wearing a jacket, you should have a zipper down the middle. Watch that your arms are not crossing the midline. They should stop right about here, about bust height. Never out in front of you. So if they come up high, make sure they stay close to the body. Out here will throw you off balance. You want to avoid chewing or punching in front, and also no opening up and back. You want to keep that 90-degree bend. Fastest walkers can take 240 steps per minute. That's 4 per second. That looks like this. And the arms keep up. So you're going to do this drill in the mirror for about a minute. You can actually just do it. See if you can do 240. 4 per second. Now how high should your elbow go? Well, it depends on your range of motion. So you turn to the side, swing through at the waistband. You're looking at yourself now from the side view. So again, are you standing tall? Are your shoulders relaxed? How high are your hands coming in front? Don't be out in front like this, but stand tall. Drive those elbows back as high as you can. If when you lift your elbow, your shoulders are rounding, then you're lifting too high. So just lift them as high as you can in your range of motion, and then look the other side. Of course, we want to be the same in both directions. So you're going to check for that. And then you're ready to go. So we've learned to land with our foot under our hip, and we've learned to use our arms in a powerful way, but now we want to lengthen our stride behind us, and we do that by using our entire foot. So most people just land with a flat foot and they propel off, but what we like to do is to land on our heel, roll all the way over to the tip of your toe. And if you can do that, you'll drive your stride behind you and get the longest stride possible for your leg length. So what does that look like? I'll show you. So if you're walking and landing flat-footed and sort of vaulting off your foot, you might get a pretty good stride, but look what happens when I roll all the way off the tip of my toe. See how my stride has extended? Okay, so if you're doing this part right, then somebody standing behind you will see the whole underside of your shoe. And they might tell you you look like you're running, and that'd be a good thing. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so now we're on to part 4, lengthening your stride. So if you were watching me walk towards you and I just happened to be on a line and one foot landed on one side of the line and one landed on the other side of the line, you probably wouldn't think that's too inefficient, but we all know that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So now we're going to learn to lengthen our stride by rotating our hips and landing on the line. So we're going back to the mirrors. You're going to stand in front of the mirror, feet hip width apart, standing straight. Do you remember when we were doing the arms, how I had you pay attention to how your hips were rotating? Now that part's going to be key for lengthening your stride by walking on a line. So we're going to start this drill by standing with your knees straight, and you're going to rotate your hips. Pretend you're a pencil and somebody's doing this. So stand nice and tall, squeeze your buttocks and rotate. Now bend your arms, and now add the knee bend. And this is what's going to allow you to walk on the line. Just a side note, if you have back issues and this is bothering you, just remember this isn't required. It's just something to enhance your technique. So on that note, we're going to get back to the line and we're going to see what that looks like. So we're rotating and we're walking on the line. Okay, I've given you a lot of information, so how do we make it all come together? You simply practice, practice, practice. Do your drills, get to the track, practice each of the specific components individually, don't try to lump them all together, and give yourself some time. Some people can do it in a week, some people can do it in a month. Thank you for joining me for Race Walk 101. If you have further questions, would like to sign up for an upcoming workshop, or you just want some awesome walking shoes, see my website at reshod.com.